What happened today was a continuation of those protests. The most iconic image yesterday happened in Cairo's Nasser city, where they stormed that building. They found underground dungeons, if you will, or prison cells. They found evidence, documents, and a lot of paper shredded. Today, it seems when they tried to do that at the main headquarters, they certainly weren't allowed to by the military, and it was aggravated by that very harsh position by the military to not let them in, as more so than a political development at this stage.
Thanks very much, Eamon. The Afghan President Hamid Karzai has told the US that offering apologies, saying sorry for civilian deaths in his country just isn't enough. Hundreds of protesters were on the streets of the capital, Kabul, protesting about US military operations. Mr. Karzai warning just a few days ago, telling the US President that civilian casualties were a serious problem. Civilian deaths have jumped in the past year as insurgents increasingly attacked soft civilian targets. Off to the US now to hear about a pretty large earthquake shaking the northern region of Chile. Nick Clark's there again.
Yes, David, the US Geological Survey says the quake was centered in Putre, near the border with Bolivia. No injuries or major damages have been reported. You remember just over a year ago, a magnitude 8.8 quake in central Chile killed more than 500 people. Alberto Granado, who accompanied Argentine revolutionary Che Guevara during his travels across Latin America, died in Cuba on Saturday. During their journey in 1952, Granado and Guevara witnessed widespread poverty. Guevara credited the trip with awakening his political convictions. Granado's memoir of the journey was immortalized in the film The Motorcycle Diaries. Granado was 88. Thousands of people followed a 50-strong samba band through the streets of Rio in Brazil on Sunday to celebrate Carnival. Yep, at the parade in the city's business district, people were dressed as nuns, devils, superheroes, and just about everything else that you can imagine. Sunday will be the first of 2 nights of parades in Rio's Sambadrome Stadium, but it won't be the same for 3 of the city's samba schools. They spend all year building elaborate floats and costumes, only to watch a huge fire destroy everything. AlJazeera met Elizabeth Santana, who works at one of those schools, and this is her story.
My name is Elizabeth Santana. When I have nothing to do in the sculpture department, I come over here to this float decoration section. When you have nothing to do, you go help others, because those very people will in turn help you when you really need it. This year, I have seen lots of solidarity between the different departments. This tragedy helped us come together for the school. Most of the things were finished. When I saw the windows shattering, I was overcome. The windows of our workshop exploding really was shocking, because I thought about all my friends inside. Not to mention losing all of our work. There were lives to worry about inside, so I was panicky. The things that we were building over several months were lost in the fire in seconds. There is no explanation. It hurts even to think about it. We still will have our parade because we need to show that Portela is not just a school, it's a family. We are all in this together, working for the school. It's not just us. Portela has a long tradition. It's a big league school which goes back a long time. We have to parade no matter what. Everything that you work hard at, which you make an extra effort at, is much more satisfying when you see the final result.
That's Elizabeth Santana helping Carnival rise from the ashes. That's it from Washington. Back to you, David.
China's government's now tightening controls on foreign media, stepping up security in Beijing and Shanghai after calls for pro-democracy protests there. The security forces keep a very close eye on Beijing's Tiananmen Square and possible other protest sites in a bustling shopping district. The calls for the demonstrations have been inspired, many say, by the uprisings they've seen in the Middle East. The Japanese foreign minister has resigned. Seiji Machira had been criticised for accepting political donations from a foreign national. On Friday, he admitted to accepting money from a Korean resident in Japan, but said he'd done so unknowingly. Time for cricket, and he's back from India, but he's going to talk about it nonetheless.
Absolutely, not quite the same, but we'll do what we can. India have gone top of Group B at Cricket's World Cup after a relatively straightforward win against Ireland. The Irish not quite able to repeat the heroics of their earlier win over England. This match all about India's Yuvraj Singh. He took his first ever 5-wicket haul in one day as Ireland bowled out for just 207 in Bengaluru. Yuvraj also hit a 50 as India had to overcome an early wobble with the bat. There he goes. And he was still there at the end with Yusuf Pathan as they wrapped up victory by 5 wickets with 4 overs to spare. Now, England have been involved in another thrilling match. This time out, they finished up as winners. South Africa were in complete control of this game for long periods, but an inspired bowling performance eventually saw England win by just 6 runs in Chennai. Joanna Gazarovska reports.
South Africa and their fans have been enjoying their moment in the sun at this Cricket World Cup. With 2 wins from 2, their confidence was boosted further as Robin Peterson dismissed both the England openers in the very first over. Skipper Andrew Strauss went for a duck, while Kevin Peterson was gone after just 2 runs. Imran Tahir then grabbed 4 wickets as England were all out for what seemed to be a paltry 171. Strauss's men had already suffered a shock defeat to Ireland in this tournament, and their bowlers were determined to avoid another loss. But South Africa made 63 runs before captain Graham Smith was removed, although it didn't actually look like he'd touched the ball on his way to being caught. That seemed to change the momentum. Stuart Broad was on target to bowl Hashim Amla, and just 7 runs later Broad struck again, Jacques Kallis going. South Africa went on to lose their last 7 wickets for just 41 runs by the time Broad took his 4th and final scalp. England clawing back an unlikely 6-run win, which should be enough to help them take one of 4 quarter-final berths from Group B. Joanna Gazarovska, AlJazeera.
Well, finding new and interesting ways of losing tight games at the Cricket World Cup, still a habit South Africa finding hard to break. Captain Graham Smith once again having to talk about whether or not his team are chokers.
I wouldn't say so. I mean, I think that we've handled ourselves well in a number of situations around the world over the last few years to be able to say that we can cope with pressure. I think the results we've been able to produce have shown that. I think today, you have to look at the skill that England showed, and I think their back end of the innings showed that it was very tough.
After the Ireland game, we really needed to come out and show some character. We definitely needed to do that. We didn't do it as much with the bat as we would have liked, but to be fair to the guys, they dug very deep in the field, and I was delighted for the bowlers who've been under the pump a little bit for them to come out and show what they can do. It bodes well for the rest of the tournament.
Let's move on.